It's time for our 1/6 assessment. Where do the Utah Mammoths stack up against the rest of the NHL? And is it good or is it panic creeping in?
You are Locked On Mammoth, your daily podcast on the Utah Mammoth, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome in once again to Locked On Mammoth. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every single day when it comes to the Utah Mammoth hockey team. I'm veteran NHL voice Tom Callahan, joined as always by longtime team analyst Robin Leano. Thank you so much for making us a part of your daily routine. We're talking today about our 1/6 assessment. Believe it or not, 14 games is about 1/6 of the way through a season. Now, when they move to 84 games, it will be a true 1/6. But since we can't cut games in half, this is the best we have to get to 1/6. And I think it's good to break the season up into chunks. We're going to talk about that part as well. But where does Utah stack up in the National Hockey League? Where are they right now, especially in the West? We're going to get to that. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Robin, presenting the facts, just the facts, right now as of our taping, which is on a Thursday evening, dropping Friday morning. Utah sits 9-5-0, 18 points. That is good for a tie for second in the Central Division, behind the Colorado Avalanche with 21 points, tied with Winnipeg, and 1 point in front of the Dallas Stars, who occupy the first wildcard spot. It's a .643 win percentage because Winnipeg has one less game played. 47 goals for, 40 goals against, plus 7 goal diff, which is good. They're 4-1 at home, 5-4 away from home. And even though they've lost 3 of 4, they have won 7 of their last 10. So, Robin, it's a good news, bad news cycle right now.
Yeah.
Playing 8 of 9 away from home. They have 2 more left in that stretch. This is a tough stretch of hockey right now. But I got asked this question today, earlier, and I know fans are asking it. I'm going to ask it to you because I want to know your answer too. Is it a mirage? What happened in the early part of the season? Was that just, hey, hot start, and now they're settling back to earth? Or is that more the team that they are, and this is a little bit of a cold stretch right now? Or is the truth somewhere in the middle?
This is a mix of both, really, Tom, because here's the thing. You and I have talked about this time and time again, but this team is inconsistent, right? We've talked about the phrase I used last season, consistently inconsistent. We know that they're going to go through stretches where they're good. They're going to go through stretches where they're not. And honestly, it's kind of frustrating because we need to say, all right, what is this team's true identity? Is it a team that can go out and run with the Avalanche in a 7-game series, or is this a team that will barely, let's say like barely beat Buffalo in overtime, right? It's like, to me, I'm like thinking, all right, where are we going here? What's the identity of this team? Are they going to play the same way and get every game in and game out? We are not seeing that. And I think that's can cause a little bit of concern, but I still firmly believe, Tom, that this is a good hockey team.
I do think it is a good hockey team as constructed. And here's the thing. It's on paper, right? On paper should be a playoff team.
Yes.
Like we've said, playoffs are bust. Of course, you do not play the games on paper. Robin, a couple of things that worry me from an anomaly standpoint. Number one, the incredibly hot start of Mr. Nick Schmaltz. Not that I'm saying he doesn't contribute offensively. He is a top-line guy, and he definitely belongs up there. But is he a tied for 9th in league scoring guy, which is where he is coming into those Thursday night games? He's off to an incredible start. But, Robin, I think if you're expecting him to maintain that pace throughout the year, contract year or not, his, let's just say, averages over the last several years have shown us that this is probably not sustainable. I don't think he's a point-a-game guy.
No, he's feeling good, but and again, that based off of, I mean, you said it, the history of season by season for Nick Schmaltz, he's not a 90-point guy. I don't think he will be a 90-point guy, but
I'd love it if he was.
Yeah, no,
allow me to say
absolutely.
that.
I would love it if he was too, but I think it's you have to understand the reality here, and it's sometimes a player can go through a hot streak. They can go through 10 games feeling themselves, and then feeling like they're on top of the world and everything goes. And then one small thing will kind of bring them back down to earth, whether it's one bad game or a bad shift even, and then all of a sudden, okay, this is who this player truly is. At some point, Nick Schmaltz is really going to come back down to earth. And I'm not saying that as, for anything bad or anything, like something bad's going to happen to him. But at some point, he's going to come back down to earth, and we're going to see what his I think the term that you've said in the past for across the team as a whole, and I'll say this for Schmaltz, is regressing to the mean, right? To the median. He will kind of get back down there to how he is averagely. Last year, by the way, not a great year for Nick Schmaltz, but so I'm not using that as an example. I'm using some of his years in Arizona where he's had good years. Those are his mean.
Now, let me give you two reasons why I think he could sustain this. Because, I feel like we got to provide positives for our listeners and viewers as well.
We try to look at both sides of the glass.
The everydayers know this. So you guys understand that we're going to give you both perspectives. We're not the homers here. There are other podcasts for that. We're not that. Okay. So to me, two reasons why it could be good. Number one, the addition of JJ Peterka. But Tom, he's not on that line. No, he's not. And the emergence of Logan Cooley. And the fact that all three of them are paired together on the pickup line, along with Dylan Guenther, it's a different look. Mm-hmm. But it's also now 6 scoring forwards. Utah didn't have that last year. So this is going to open up opportunities for one or the other. You can only sick your top defensive unit on one or the other if you're an opponent. You have to pick. And I think that will open up more opportunities for Schmaltz. Number two, I really do think he put in the work this offseason knowing it was a contract year. The motivation will never be higher in his life because of his age and because this is his last shot at signing a fatty boom batty contract. This is it, right? He's late 20s. This is going to, unless he decides to go for a 2-3 year bridge deal and really risk it, but I don't think he will. I think he's going to try to put up tremendous numbers, Robin, and bank that into a 5, 6, 7 year deal.
And, for his sake, I hope he does, right? I hope he does, because look, you and I have been covering this Nick Schmaltz for years. And I've always wanted, and I've always liked him. I've always liked him as a hockey player, and I want to see him. And I want to see all the guys do well. I'm always that way, but we'll have to, again, to me, I have to be proven that that's going to be the case.
Yes, absolutely. So, and I mean, this is just one player we're talking about, right? Yeah. And honestly, like you look at Logan Cooley, he's not tracking for 90 points right now, but maybe that's a good thing. Maybe because we're paying attention to Schmaltz, clearly. We're talking about him and everything he's putting out. Robin, are we overlooking Clayton Keller? Are we overlooking, and I mean, Dylan Guenther just finally got back on the scoreboard. We know he's streaky, but he finally scored again to get his 6th of the year. Like all of these guys, do we overlook them a little bit here in the hype around, the Peterka acquisition? And of course, there's a focus on him and then the start that Schmaltz is having.
I mean, I think everyone knows on our show, we love to hype up the pickup line as much as we can, right? Because that line does a lot of damage. But here's the thing. I feel like it's also a line that can, that has shown to be, that could very well be streaky. I said before, remember, I said that line needs to stay hot in order for the team to stay hot. And it's kind of tracked so far. But I think still, regardless, I do think there is still kind of a little bit of a distraction, I guess, in that sense. It's still a little bit, kind of diverts your attention from one place to another to take a look at where all these players are.
Yeah. By the way, want to say congratulations to Simashev for notching his first pro point, picking up an assist the other night. So congratulations to that. But Robin, I want to talk about the defensive side of the scoring too. So I'm going to segue into that. I do want to talk more about the forwards and the depth of this team up front, the depth of this team. We haven't even scratched the goaltenders yet. Tom's going to go there eventually because that's just what I do. But we're talking about how Utah stacks up here. So we're going to look at the rest of the Western Conference, see how they stack up in the West. Our thoughts, look, as constructed right now, are these guys a playoff team? We'll debate. And today's show is brought to you by Rugiet. Look, let's be real. Making excuses doesn't solve anything. We've all heard them before. It's just stress. I'm tired, or it happens to everyone sometimes. But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra support, and that's where Rugiet comes in. Rugiet.com offers fast-acting, doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. The process is fast, it's simple, and it's private. It's all handled by real doctors, and it's about confidence, connection, and getting back to the moments that matter. Visit rugiet.com/lockedonnhl to get 15% off your first order. That's rugiet.com/lockedonnhl. And don't forget to use our code LOCKEDONNHL so they know we sent you. Rugiet, stop making excuses and start making moves. Tom, Callahan, Robin Leano, Locked on Mammoth. Thank you so much for joining us, being a part of it. And hey, if you haven't already, because we know that a lot of you who watch this podcast are not yet subscribed, please go ahead and click the subscribe button right now. If you made it this far, you must be at least entertained by Robin. So please subscribe, come along for the journey. It's going to be a fun year this year for the Utah Mammoth. And we are roughly 1/6 of the way through the NHL season. And so we're doing an early assessment here, looking back over our shoulder. Robin, I think the biggest question that's going to bug Mammoth fans really is the whether or not that team that came out hot out of the gates is the real Utah Mammoth for this year, because I think we all got swept up in that. We all have a lot of hope that, yes, not only did they take a step, they might have taken 2 or 3. But now, you lose 3 of the last 4, and it humbles you a little because you've lost to a team that's been in the Stanley Cup final twice in Edmonton. You've lost to a perennial front runner in Toronto. Now you're going to go face the best team in the East in Montreal in your next game. That's going to be another test. You dropped a difficult game at home to Tampa Bay. And it was all little moments in those games, to go back to your consistency point, that made the difference. They're not yet playing 60 minutes of hockey.
How many times, Tom, have we discussed on this show the naps? The defensive naps? I feel like it's too much times, which is not a good thing.
And it you can get away with it against the lesser teams. Not everyone's going to make you pay. Let's be honest. Not every team does.
And I remember this too, because it was going into this, a tough stretch, right? Where I was invited on ESPN 700, and I was asked on the Sean O'Connell show about this team and their upcoming opponents. And I said, these are opponents in which that you cannot have these defensive naps. We've talked about defensive naps before, and you cannot have those defensive naps against your Edmonton, against your Minnesota, against your Tampa Bay and Toronto, because they have players like 1, 2, 3, 4 players who will catch you off guard and will all of a sudden score 3 in a span of like 5 minutes. And all of a sudden, now you're chasing the game, your confidence is shaken, and it can put you down a tailspin. It really can. I put that warning out there, and we've seen it. We've seen it, Tom.
We have. And you know what, Robin? I really would like to see the naps that lead to penalties disappear as well. The undisciplined penalties. And they've been less this year.
Yeah. But this team is still one of the more disciplined teams in the National Hockey League. And it gets to me. It gets to me.
I understand. I get it. I really do, because when it comes to special teams, I mean, you're talking about penalty kill and power play, which, by the way, how weird is it the Buffalo Sabres are the best penalty killing team in the NHL? That is strange to me. But your power play is hovering around 17th, and we talked about how they hadn't in the past provided the timely goals. They had a couple of chances where they could have tied, gone ahead, or put games away, and they haven't done it. And they haven't done it again this year. And this year, Utah's power play is, again, bottom of the fold. And same thing with the penalty kill, 76.9%. So special teams isn't there. So, Robin, if you're not making up the goals through your special teams, it means your 5-on-5's got to be sparkling. And no pun intended. It means that you have to really be clean. You have to take care of things. And in their wins, they've done that. But against the stronger, more powerful teams, and I point again to that third period against Toronto, in that second game of the back-to-back, Toronto absolutely shut them down and just showed you how to defend a lead, how a very good team defends a lead.
And not only that, Tom, but I've also said this multiple times, and I'll say it again, too. There's a lot of things I'll keep saying each and every episode. I'll like hammer it into people. Some people might get, like, everydayers might get tired of it, but if you're new, maybe it's something a little bit new to you. But I'm talking about allowing this team to not get unhinged by that, not get those tailspins, and be able to play their game regardless. And I feel like Utah has issues where they get flustered and they don't play their game. You and I have talked about, and maybe it was their game, maybe it wasn't during that hot streak, but that's what it should be. We saw them essentially have a forecheck, force the defense, when they're in the offensive zone, force the defense into the corners, allow their physical play to essentially take control of possession for a huge chunk of minutes and period in a whole game, as one, and two, also forcing shots to the perimeter on the other side, right? You're not allowing anything in the open ice. You're forcing everything to the outside. That's what the team. That's what this team is supposed to do, right? They are a physical team. They are a big physical team. We want to see more of that. Jack McBain, he's a physical guy. You see Brandon Tanev and Spicy Tuna and whoever. They're physical people. They know what they're supposed to do. Even Barrett Hayton's got some edge to him. So it's just like, I want to see more from that.
Carconi's tried to play that way again this year too.
Yeah.
And look, they do need more of that. The thing is, though, there's such a dividing line between top six and bottom six in style of play. It is like two different teams.
The scoring, the scoring half and the checking half. Yep.
It is grace, finesse, speed, or it is grind you to a pulp and take advantage of the turnovers, which, I like playing that way. I think that's playoff hockey. I think that's how you win in the playoffs.
I think that's why, like we talk about the top six, that's why I still think Utah is a very incredible top nine, but I feel like they just need to figure out a system that works to kind of mix them all in there, because the Krause, McBain, Carconi line, I feel like can reduce some real damage if they get their stuff figured out.
So, Robin, where does this team stack up is the question. Against Colorado, against Winnipeg, I felt they played well against Colorado.
Yeah.
But you've also got, so in the division, Dallas, Chicago, Nashville, Minnesota, St. Louis. And St. Louis and Minnesota are actually behind Nashville and Chicago right now. That is all great news for the Utah Mammoth, because if that just kind of those four teams continue to not be able to figure it out, and the Blackhawks are actually the top of all those four, the Dallas Stars at 17 points are one behind Winnipeg and Utah, and Colorado is at 21. That could be your four playoff teams if not much changes. It's an incredibly disappointing start from St. Louis and Minnesota, but one that I did call. I do want to point that out. But Robin, I feel good about that as far as where they stack up in the Central. And their 18 points is better heading into Thursday night than anybody in the Pacific. So I don't feel too bad about where they're at, even though they played two more games, or a game more than most teams have played. I still feel like they're in a pretty good spot.
They are, and I feel like it does help that The other two teams that you were most worried about that you had to leapfrog are doing much, much worse than any of us expected, especially the St. Louis Blues. And I think that's something to really keep an eye out for. That gives you that should put some confidence in the team. Say, hey, we're at this spot. We need to hold this spot by continuing the playoff game. But which, by the way, fun fact, right now, Money Puck has the Utah Mammoth with a 75.5% chance to make the playoffs.
I like it. I like that. You know what? There's one thing we haven't talked about yet, and I want to do that coming up next. We got to talk about goaltending.
And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or just want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score the next fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets to same-game parlays for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps the game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. I know maybe you're a Jazz fan and maybe you want to do something to spice up your fandom, or maybe you want to do something outside of the Jazz to keep your game more exciting in basketball and follow the NBA. You can still do that with FanDuel because right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head over to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Tom Callahan, Robin Leano, Locked On Mammoth, back here to wrap things up with you. Hey, if you like the show, not only do we appreciate you subscribing, but also tell your friends about what's going on, because we're going to soon be unveiling our brand new Everydayer Club. We're going to have details on that once we shore up our launch date, which is expected to be around December 8th, but we're going to tell you how you can sign up and what the benefits are. There's plenty of perks, including a lot of exclusives. So once we're able to launch that out, but want to put that out there, just put a little bug in your ear. The Everydayer Club is coming, and it will be here soon. So, Robin, goaltending.
I know your favorite thing to talk about.
Yes. This tandem has a chance to possibly be one of the better ones that the franchise has seen. I think both of these goaltenders can legitimately be starting goaltenders. We could have said that last year, though, about Ingram and Veg. And, of course, Ingram had his struggles and his issues. But here's the thing. I really do like Vitek Vanecek from a standpoint of I think he has shown he can recapture some of the form that made him such a dominant starter earlier in his career. And, look, teams that go far in the playoffs, teams that can make deep cup runs, sometimes you've got to switch your goalie. Mm-hmm. Not everybody is playoff Bob. Not everybody is André Vasilevsky, who's Mr. Game 7 shutout. That is not every goaltender. And there's going to be a time when a guy has a rough outing and you need to turn to that 1B and to have not only a capable, but a 1B who can steal you a game, if not a series, is incredibly important. I don't know that they're there yet because the inconsistency label also applies to the goaltending. And actually, I think Vanecek has been more consistent of the two. But I do believe that Vejmelka and Vanecek can be the tandem that can take this team into the playoffs if they are both playing well. And I think they can win a round or two if these guys heat up.
Yeah, they certainly can. I mean, we've talked about, tandems so many different times and how important they can be. And you're right. As you mentioned, not every team has your Bob or your Hellebuck or whoever. But there are, teams that have had tandems that worked really well for them that kind of got them to not only one, but maybe two Stanley Cups. And I am looking at you, Pittsburgh Penguins, when you had your Fleury-Murray tandem. People didn't talk about that one as much. Now people don't even think about that one anymore. At the time,
they actually used three goaltenders in that opening series.
Oh, that's right. They had 3.
Yep. So yeah, you need that guy Boston until they unfortunately had to make a decision and pick one guy to be a starter because that's the other thing is eventually you can't pay both.
Yeah.
So that does, force you to do something, and Boston picked Jeremy Swayman. But yes, having that other goaltender there, that's what makes the team dangerous in the regular season. And if you watch that Toronto game the other night, I don't really hang any part of that on Vanecek. I don't. I just don't think that would be fair to criticize him.
Right.
The only thing that, can I just be honest, the thing that worries me still is just I have not been, my nerves have not been put to rest that Veggie can handle a full starter's workload. I'm still nervous about that, Robin, because he goes out, has an incredible performance, and then can follow it up with a clunker. And I'm just like, it's okay if you have one once in a while, but they're just too frequent.
Yeah, you're right. And it's interesting you bring that up because, like, for a while, a lot of the criticism wasn't necessarily about Veggie himself. It was, we made the joke about, not even joke, but we just made the criticism about load management. And we're like, okay, maybe it's because load management. Maybe it's just because, like, you're starting Veggie 20 straight games, which is just
ridiculous,
right? You're not gonna, like, I hope not. We're not gonna see that again, especially with where the tandem is now. But they have a lot more faith and a lot more trust in Vanecek for that. But that, I think, gives us a real bigger scope in what kind of a goalie Veggie really is. And I mean, it's interesting, Tom, because I think you made a preseason prediction that come like Christmas time, Vanecek takes over starting duties.
And to Veggie's credit, he has not played in a way that would suggest that that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But there's a flip side to this coin, and it's that André Tourigny is not in a hurry to trust Vitek Vanecek, and that is very evident by how he's been deploying him. Now, look, Vanecek should play both halves of this back-to-back on the road. I think he'll get Ottawa.
Yep.
But I don't know that the coach has the trust in him yet, which I don't understand why that would be the case. But if he's just slow to trust a new player or goalie or whatever, I mean, there's nothing any of us can do about it.
It's so interesting you bring the coaching up, because I feel like a lot of people will ride those waves of either bashing on Tourigny for bad coaching decisions to praising him during the hype, and then all of a sudden coming back down. And then I'm like, we really need to figure out what kind of a coach André Tourigny is, and what's his direction for this team. I feel like that's really important, by the way. It's like as we get ready toward the end here, I feel like that's super important. And it's between putting your trust in your players and your goaltenders as one thing, to figuring out a power play system that works, to all those different things. Which, by the way, I'm not on social media. It's interesting because one of the reporters, like, forgetting which one it was at this moment, I'm looking at, pretty much said that they had an argument. This was last month, right, with André Tourigny about, are you going to figure out any other power play systems? Because it seems like what you're working on right now,
I remember that,
isn't working.
Right.
And apparently Tourigny's just like, no, I feel like we're going to stick with our system. And apparently it got heated. Apparently they were fine afterwards, but we still have to revisit that. So many people have asked, it's like, okay, who is the power play coach? Like, who is that? Plus, not only that, but André Tourigny, figure it out.
Yeah.
And again, to me, I will be as critical as I can, critical as I can, but also give him a lot of benefit of the doubt. For André Tourigny, I like him, but at the same time, I expect more from him every time. I'm like, man, I want to see more from you. I want to see something better. And I feel like that's kind of why I get so critical for the coaching.
I mean, my opinion hasn't changed. This team with a different coach is better.
I mean,
that's the most blunt way I can say it.
You and I have already said that this team with a coach like John Cooper is unbelievable. But
yeah, I just think they'd be better with a better coach. So, but
and again,
here we are.
I know so many people are going to probably would rip into us because André Tourigny has gotten us a lot of those good wins. Is it him or is it the talent of this team?
Well, I think for sure it's the talent.
Yes.
I think it is the talent on the team. I think defensively they still make the mistakes. Their breakouts are like zone entries, puck retrievals, especially on the power play. Robin, they're still not doing what they need to do on a full-time basis. They're not. They could be a lot better in their systems. Their systems could be a lot more effective.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just me.
I mean, I still do think, even though, they had that good start, I still do think that the seat's still warm for him. The seat's still pretty darn warm.
I think if this team, and I hope they don't, but if they do fall out of the playoff race, or at least dip out of the wild card rankings, I think the Heat better be cranked all the way up. And look, they're only 2 points away from doing that. But I mean, I don't know. I think if you're out of the playoffs in December, middle of December or around Christmas, that's not good. That means you were just a hot start. That's all you were.
And it wouldn't be a good look because everyone started buying into them during that hot streak. They moved up to 4 in power rankings.
Yeah.
They're now looking among one of the hotter teams in the league. They going through all this, and all of a sudden you're going to flip and things like that again. That's going to really break open the inconsistency issue we've talked about. And they're going to wonder, all right, who is it? Is it the players or the coach? And as they always say, well, you can't really fire the players. So.
Yep. Well, we're not there yet, but let us know what you think down there in the comments. That's our 1/6 assessment of where Utah is. On the whole, I think we're okay. I think we're comfortable. We just need to see some improvement and some greater consistency.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we can hope for, right? Because you've already said, manage the peaks and valleys. Manage them. Yes. So we don't have to go through this roller coaster.
Yes, that would be nice. So, Robin, if folks want to reach out to us and comment on social media, where can they find us?
Yeah, they can find us everywhere on social media. Primarily active over on Twitter/X at Robin_Leano for me, and at Locked On Mammoth at Locked On Mammoth. Once again, mostly active over on Twitter. So on either one of those for me or the show, I'm pretty active, so I can get back to you within usually within 24 hours. Sometimes a little bit later that if I'm pretty particularly busy, but I never take much longer than that.
I'm not quite as active as Robin. Robin, who is glued to her phone 24/7, I'm sure. He probably sleeps with it on your forehead, right? But I'm on Blue Sky at Tom Talks. I'm on Twitter at Callahan on Air. What was that, Robin?
So, I mean, close enough. It's I have it on my nightstand, which is 5 inches from me.
Yeah,
but
sometimes I hate my phone, but other times I love it. So anyway, it's like this team. Sometimes we hate it, sometimes we love it, but you know what? We're going to talk about it every single day. Thanks as always for being a part of Locked On Mammoth.